You think you are watching her. You have been living inside her psychology your entire adult life. Even if you have never set foot on her soil. Even if you have never spoken her language as your first one. Even if you have spent your whole life arguing against her. The films you grew up on. The therapy vocabulary you use to describe your own relationships. The way you measure success against people you will never meet. All of it was uploaded. Her name is America. And this is the part of her she does not let you see. This is the unlearning, part of an ongoing dissection of the dark psychology of power. America calls herself the land of the free. She incarcerates more of her own citizens than any other country on the planet. About 1 in every 5 prisoners on Earth is sitting inside her. She houses roughly 4% of the world's people. She calls herself the home of the brave. The leading cause of death for her children between the ages of 1 and 19 is gunfire, not disease, not accident, bullets. She calls herself a meritocracy. A child born into her bottom income quintile has roughly a 7% chance of reaching the top. The promise on the recruitment poster is mathematically rare in the underwriting. Anyone can read those numbers. Almost nobody is watching what she does with them. Because here is the part that matters. She is not hiding any of this. Any citizen with a phone can pull these statistics up in 8 seconds. Her real power has never been in what her people don't know. It is in what they have been trained not to feel about what they already know. That is a different kind of country. A propaganda state lies to its people. America does not lie. She produces a reality so cinematic that the truth, when it arrives wearing the wrong clothes and gets dismissed at the door. To be precise about what this video is, there is no American character. There are over 330 million people inside her, and most of them are working, raising children, trying to keep something honest alive in the middle of something they can feel is dishonest. The pattern this video tracks is the dominant operating system. It is not every citizen running it. Let me show you what's underneath. To understand America's psyche, you have to understand the trauma she was born holding. She was founded by people fleeing one form of absolute authority, and her first century was spent inventing new ones. She wrote the most aspirational political document of the Enlightenment and signed it with hands that owned other human beings. Her first president led an army for liberty, while 300 enslaved people worked his fields without wages. This is not hypocrisy. Hypocrisy requires awareness. This is what a forensic psychologist would call splitting. The defense where a mind cannot hold 2 contradictory truths in the same room, so it builds a wall down the middle and lives on both sides without ever crossing. America was born, split. The America of the founding documents, equality, liberty, the consent of the governed, and the America of the plantation, the reservation, the indenture contract, were never 2 countries. They were one psyche, holding 2 stories, and refusing to introduce them to each other. Every child she raises inherits the architecture. Pledge of Allegiance in the morning, a history textbook that softens the genocide by lunchtime, a movie theater in the evening with a hero who saves the world by shooting it. The split is not a flaw in her education. The split is the education. This is the question almost nobody asks her. Why splitting and not integration? The answer is in what she would have had to feel if she had ever integrated the 2 stories. The country still running on her code could not afford that feeling, so she built the wall instead. Every country has a wound it refuses to grieve. America has 2, and they are the same wound, told twice. The first is the genocide that cleared her land. Conservative academic estimates put the indigenous population of what would become her territory in 1492 somewhere between 5 and 10 million. By 1900, That number was around 250,000. She does not have a national holiday dedicated to that arithmetic. She has a holiday that thanks the survivors for the meal. The second is slavery, and what came after slavery, which was not freedom. It was a century of sharecropping, lynching, redlining, and terror. Then, a civil rights movement her dominant culture absorbed by quoting one sentence of Dr. King and deleting the other 47 speeches. She did not process either wound. She mythologized both. The Indian became the noble savage in her movies. The slave became the magical helper in her sentimental fiction. The wound was not faced. It was retold, in a register that let the descendants of the perpetrators feel something other than guilt. This is what trauma theorists call performative healing, the public ceremony that simulates repair, while preventing the actual repair from happening, the apology that takes the place of the reparation, the museum that takes the place of the Truth Commission, the Black History Month that takes the place of the curriculum. America is the most therapized society in human history, and she has done the least national grief work of any society at her scale. That gap between how much she talks about pain and how little she metabolizes is the source of almost everything that comes next. Because a wound that is mythologized instead of grieved does not disappear. It goes underground, and it has to keep producing a reality in which it was never inflicted. So how does America keep the reality producing itself? She has built the largest such industry in human history. She is the global capital of entertainment, news, advertising, and what her own scholars call the attention economy. Hollywood, Madison Avenue, Silicon Valley, cable news, the streaming platforms. The single largest export she produces by cultural volume is reality itself. In 1928, her own theorist of public relations, Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud's nephew, and that detail matters, wrote that the conscious manipulation of the masses was an invisible government and the true ruling power of the country. He did not write it as a critique. He wrote it as a manual. The manual was implemented. The implementation is what you have been watching your entire adult life. What Bernays understood, and what America has industrialized since, is something dark psychologists now call manufactured consent. The move where the most efficient form of control is not censorship. Censorship leaves a citizen knowing something has been hidden. Manufactured consent leaves a citizen believing she chose the conclusion that was chosen for her. Her dominant culture does not tell her people what to think. It saturates their attention with what to think about and lets the conclusion form on its own. The war is necessary. The medication is essential. The candidate is the lesser of two evils. The economy is recovering. The opposite party is the threat. The protest is a riot. The riot is a protest. Nothing means what it means. Everything means what the framing department decided it would mean this quarter. This is not conspiracy. There is no room behind a curtain. The room is the whole house. And once a citizen defends the manufactured reality as her own conclusion, the country does not need a censor anymore. The citizen becomes the censor.
Obama is a Muslim. He's a terrorist. Nobody will ever tell me different. Do I have proof? No. Do I have articles? No.
But your mind is made up without any information.
My mind is made up.
She polices her family, her co-workers, the strangers in her comment section, the dissident in her own head, before he can finish the thought. This is what America does to a citizen who steps outside the frame. Her name was Sandra Bland. She was 28 years old, a graduate of Prairie View A&M University in Texas, a black woman from suburban Chicago, driving back down to Texas to start a new job at her alma mater. The job was a step up. On her own social media, under the title Sandy Speaks, she had been recording her thoughts on race, on mental health, on what she was watching her country become. She filmed most of it directly into the camera, often from her car. On the afternoon of July 10, 2015, she was driving in Waller County, Texas, when a state trooper named Brian Encinia pulled her over. The reason on the form was failure to signal a lane change. It begins as a routine traffic stop. It does not stay one for long. He asks her if she is irritated. She says she is. He asks her to put out her cigarette. She asks why she should. She's in her own car. He orders her out of the vehicle. She refuses. He opens her door. He tells her he will light her up while pointing a weapon at her. He drags her out. He puts her on the ground. He arrests her for assaulting a public servant. She is taken to Waller County Jail. 3 days later, on July 13, 2015, she is found hanging in her cell. The county's official ruling is suicide. The trooper is fired. He is indicted on a perjury charge for lying about the reason he pulled her out of the car. The perjury charge is later dropped in exchange for his agreement never to work in law enforcement again. Her family wins a $1.9 million civil settlement. The settlement does not include an admission of liability. The case is closed. The country moves on. Watch what the framing does in the days that follow. The death of a citizen in state custody becomes a debate about the citizen's mental health history, about whether she was suicidal, about what she had posted on Facebook, about whether she was angry on the day of her arrest. The death is not on trial. The woman who died is on trial. This is what social psychologists call gaslighting, applied at population scale. Take what happened, reframe what happened, make the witness doubt what they saw. By the time the discussion is done, the dashcam footage is no longer the evidence. The Facebook post is the evidence. Sandra Bland is not a unique case. That is the cruelty of the data. She is illustrative because of what was filmed, what was settled, and what she had said on camera before she died. That she was awake to what was happening in her country, that she was going to keep speaking, that she was here to be the change. She named the machinery on camera. A few weeks later, the machinery named her cause of death. Take this as analysis, not verdict. Most Americans are not the officer who arrested her. Most are not the system that processed her. Most are inside the same machinery the rest of the world is now inside, shaped by it, used by it, or destroyed by it. The pattern is what we are diagnosing, not the people. She does not lie to her people. She manufactures the reality her people then defend as truth.
You vote for Donald Trump in 2028? All right, we are living in the dumbest timeline.
That is the dominant pattern. Now look at what America does to anyone who refuses to perform it. She does not need to silence her dissidents the way authoritarian regimes silence theirs. She has a more elegant tool. She allows them to speak. On platforms her own algorithms have already demoted. On channels her own news has already framed as fringe. In rooms her own culture has already labeled as unserious. The dissident is not banned. The dissident is just made unhearable. That is the disposal system for the loud ones. The disposal system for the quiet ones, the ones who simply will not perform her dominant pattern, is the one Sandra Bland walked into. The traffic stop that becomes a cell. The unpaid bill that becomes a credit score that becomes a closed door. The unfilled prescription that becomes a relapse that becomes a charge. The system does not need to decide you are a threat. It needs to decide you are not worth processing carefully. And again, the cost of running this system is not paid by her elites. Her elites are the system's beneficiaries. The cost is paid by the silent majority. The working mother told the immigrant is the threat, while the wage-suppressing employer signs the check. The soldier told the war is for freedom, while the contract is written for oil. None of these citizens designed the script. Most of them are reading it for the first time, the same as you. Now, I want to turn the lens around. If you are watching this from outside America's borders thinking, that's American, that's not me, you are looking at the wrong reflection. She is the prototype. The rest of the world has been running on for 40 years. The streaming platforms in your country are her streaming platforms. The advertising frameworks in your country are her advertising frameworks. The cable news grammar in your country was written in her studios. The political consultants who built your last election trained in her universities. The therapy language in your last relationship was translated from her self-help books. You do not have to live in America to live inside her. That is the deepest move she has ever made. She exported the operating system before anyone realized the operating system was an export. So the only question that matters at the end of a video like this, is not what is wrong with America. The question is this: what conclusions are you defending this week that you did not actually arrive at on your own? What reality have you been handed that you have been calling the truth? Once you can see the architecture, you cannot unsee it. You will spot it in your country's evening news. You will spot it in the ad before the next video plays. You will spot it in the next argument you have with someone who is wrong, in exactly the way the framing department needed them to be wrong. That is the cost of watching this once. If this changed something in how you see her, or how you see your own country, leave a comment naming the next entity you want diagnosed. Comments are how the next video gets chosen. Stop fixing. Start understanding.